Hey, you wild women. Renee here, coming at you with another quickie, talking about morning rituals or morning routines, however you want to phrase it. Why this is important is because it just is. And this isn't just another listicle of all the things that I do that works for me that takes me 5 hours every morning. I want to dive in and talk about some of the things that are so crucial in your day to help you be happier, more productive, and enjoy your life. Before we get started, though, I do want to ask you a question. When was the last time you woke up, rolled out of bed, and felt 100%? Despite what maybe your Oura ring says, or despite what maybe any sleep tracking tool says, when was the last time you rolled out of bed and felt 100%? Well, let me tell you, I went through years feeling like crap waking up. Everybody's different. I get this. But I'm telling you, it was like it took me an hour to actually get going. I would roll out of bed, get right to the coffee, check emails, and I was exhausted. And here's why. Our cortisol levels, so the stress hormone, are at its highest rate when we wake up. So we wake up immediately stressed and we haven't even faced the day. So if you're at your peak stress when you first wake up and then you're just adding more stress to it, your body is going into overdrive. It is going into fight, flight, or freeze. And the moment that there's any little inconvenience that happens, you get triggered. Does that sound familiar? That used to be me. Don't get me wrong. There are still days where that is me. But I have been so intentional about my morning routine, my morning rituals, and it's changed over time. That has helped me have not only a more productive day, but a day with more capacity, a day with more fluidity and flow in case things change and my mood change. And all of a sudden, I do want to go play soccer in the field with the boys, and I can go and do that. But also as I learn, as I study, as I get guided by my spiritual therapist, as I read books and listen to podcasts, I learn what other successful people are doing. And when I talk about success, I'm not really putting on the pedestal people that are making billions of dollars and have a yacht in the Caribbean. That's great. But when I'm talking about successful people, I look to people like my friend Ali Caffrey or Liz Hartkey or Jackie Service, when I know they love what they do, but they also have an incredible family life. Because at the end of the day, the one thing we're really trying to do is have a great family life. So why are these the people that we're putting on the back burner in order to create a career or generate revenue in our business? Doesn't make any sense to me. But more importantly, despite the family, why we aren't serving ourselves first and more often. So let me dive into my morning ritual, what it looks like. But before we even get into that, I want to premise this, but I'm not the person that does the cold plunges, the green juices. That might work for some. And maybe there's pieces of it that would work for me some days. I've tried it and I'm like, I actually just get anxiety thinking about it. So I don't do it. My morning routine is basic, but it has evolved over time to the point now that I wake up at between 4 and 4:30 in the morning. I know, crazy. And I feel ready and excited for the day because my body, my temple, this meat sack feels good. So let's jump in. Actually, no, I lied. I lied because here's the thing. I want to explain to you what you need to do to prep for a morning routine. It starts the night before. Okay? Just putting on some lip gloss here. I actually wrote this down the other day because I wanted to share this with you guys. The morning routine that works best for me. Here's what I do the night before. The night before, in order to protect my energy and my time in the morning. First off, I always tidy the house before going to bed. The biggest thing I do is I clean the kitchen. You know, like I said, since our cortisol levels are so high first thing in the morning, the last thing I want to do is roll out of bed, do my thing, come into the kitchen and just see that there's a mess that I already have to tackle. And it doesn't take much to ask everybody in the house that is a rule, that they need to spend at least 2 to 5 minutes every night cleaning up their own crap. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be out of the way. And the biggest thing is the kitchen. Everyone knows their role. They put the pillows back on the couch. They put the blankets away before they go to bed so that when we wake up in the morning, we don't have to do that stuff. Because I don't know, when I used to wake up facing the mess, like my parents, I don't get this. My mom's, when we're after dinner, she likes to enjoy the company and the time after dinner. There's always a big mess in the kitchen because they cook most things from scratch, incredible food. But, some stuff she thinks she has to soak overnight. She has her ways of cleaning the kitchen, but she will say, leave it in the sink and I'll get it in the morning. Even as a guest in her home, I'm like, I can't let this be. I can't let you do that to yourself. So if you're feeling unusually stressed when you first wake up in the morning, I want you to pay attention to the 3-3-3 rule of anxiety. I don't know if you've heard this before. I learned it before, forgot about it, and I was reintroduced to this concept by my spiritual therapist the other weekend. And what we're talking about is those moments where you might be triggered. Like Dan and I used to have certain subjects that were just off the table. We could never talk about because I would get triggered or he would get triggered. And we have to create a relationship where we can talk about anything without feeling like there's potential trauma in the future. So we do these things called the 3-3-3 rule, where it's a mindfulness technique where it's simple enough for like anybody to do. So first of all, if you feel that like anxiety building in your chest, stop, name 3 things around you. I see a water bottle, a light, and a phone. Then you identify 3 sounds that you can hear. I can hear the humming of the lights, I can hear my voice, and I can hear our incredible cleaning lady, Sarah, downstairs. And then the next thing is to move 3 different body parts, right? Just move. Sometimes you can change the sounds to feelings too. Like, what do you feel on your body? The point is there's 3 things. It takes a couple seconds to do, and essentially it resets your body. So I use this in tense discussions. It could also be served when you first wake up in the morning to help calm your cortisol levels if you're a little bit stressed. So this is nighttime routine. I am adamant and diligent about not having any caffeinated beverages or any sort of stimulants after noon because it can take up to 8 hours for some things, if not more, for some things to leave the system. Whatever can potentially affect a good night's sleep, I make sure it's out of my system before I go to bed. I also design on a work stop time. So I think I learned this from Cal Newport, where he says, if you work until 5 and that's the time you decided that the work is going to be done, close your laptop and walk away. Because what you're doing is you're just creating a habit of just coasting and picking away at stuff. And then it's going to bleed into the time you actually need to relax, calm, and repair, just like a good sleep. So if you're always just doing stuff, answering emails, text messages, you're actually not going to be productive and you're going to hate your work. This means that you need to get your team on board too. So my clients and my team know that on the weekends and in the evenings, I'm not available unless it's an emergency, which hardly ever happens, by the way, just so you know. So don't bug me. Unless something comes up, call me. But otherwise, I'll tackle it the next workday. And then also decide when your work's going to start. The other thing I do before bed is I don't have any food 3 hours before bed. So this is why I get anxiety. I get triggered when Dan and I get invited for dinners that are around 7 p.m. because I go to bed at 9. And so if I'm going to be eating my dinner right before going to bed, it's not going to be a good night's sleep. And quite frankly, I won't enjoy the dinner because I'm just going to feel anxious the whole time I'm there about how terrible of a sleep I'm going to get. Yes, I'm working on this. And so no food 3 hours before bed. I drink all my fluids, stop drinking my fluids at least an hour before bed so that I can pee right before I go to bed and it's not something that's going to wake me up. My room is always cool and dark. We have an air purifier in there too. So it actually provides kind of a constant humming. But if you want to know what air purifier we use, we have a couple around the house. You can DM me on Instagram, Renee_Warren, and I'll send you the links to the air purifiers we use. We have a couple different companies. And one thing I've been trying to do recently, which has really worked, is no screens before bed. I used to have my iPad in bed where I'd have some of my Netflix shows or a movie or something, and I would watch like an hour of it before going to bed. And that was the last thing I looked at. Now, I always wear my blue glasses, my blue light blocking glasses. Now, because of the rhinoplasty that I had done not that long ago, I still can't wear glasses. And so I stopped watching shows before going to bed because I couldn't wear the glasses. And now I read, and it has been a game changer for my sleep score. Because, when you get on these shows that are so good, you're like, I'm just going to watch one more. And before you know it, it's midnight. I don't have that with a book. A book could be that good, but for the most part, I'm going to fall asleep. And the other thing too is a couple of supplements I take are magnesium, NAC, and chamomile tea or peppermint tea before bed. So the point of this, there's probably other things that I've missed here too. One is always have a notebook or sticky note next to your bed. So if you happen to not be able to fall asleep because you're worried about something, or you wake up in the middle of the night, the best way to get that off of your mind is to write it down. I used to be so bad about this when I would travel. The night before traveling, I would go through everything that I packed. Sometimes I'd wake up at like 3 a.m. and then I'd go look, do I have everything? Because my parents wouldn't stop me that you have to pack everything you need for a trip. And so in my mind, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, there's nowhere I could be able to buy running shoes in LA if I go to LA and I forgot my running shoes. Like, of course, you can buy stuff anywhere. But what I would do is if I woke up thinking, oh gosh, I forgot to pack my passports, I would write it down on the sticky note, put it next to my bed. It's super bright. I never miss it. So you need the thing where you can write down the notes or the thoughts to kind of get it off your brain so you can go back to sleep. Okay, so let's jump into the morning routine. Here's what works for me. And this shifts and it evolves. And there's some things I used to do, I don't do, and some things I'll probably start doing again. But at this moment in time, what's working for me to feel really good every morning is this. Wake up and say the Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Don't flounder. So sometimes I'd wake up and before I plugged my phone in elsewhere, I would go grab my phone and I would check and scroll social or check my email. But now I don't do that. When I wake up, and it's mostly natural, sometimes my husband sets an alarm clock, but we naturally wake up at like 4:30 in the morning. If I wake up and I know that it's time for my body to wake up, I'll say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And every time I say go, my feet are on the ground and I'm getting up for the day. Otherwise, I will just lay there. And once a week, usually like on a Sunday, I will just lay there and be lazy because that's fun too. I do not grab my phone or my computer first thing in the morning. In fact, for the last 9 years, I was plugging my phone across the bedroom. I went to an MMT event hosted by my friend Jason Gaynard. And one thing we learned was about plugging your phone in across the room. And I never forgot that. And it had nothing to do with the electronic frequencies that it emitted, but everything to do with that insatiable desire to want to check social media or something as it came in the night. So now I plug my phone in downstairs. So before I go up at night, I plug my phone in. I do one last check to see if there's anything that anybody needs from me. And then I put it on silent and then I go upstairs and then I help the kids to bed. And there's no way of checking text messages or social media because I don't have that on my iPad if I do decide to watch a show. And that has been not only liberating, but has actually helped me sleep better. And guess what happens? I wake up in the morning, I don't even care to check my phone. It's not like a need. I actually go through my morning routine because sometimes I'll look at it to see if my parents text me. But for the most part, I don't check my phone. So one thing I do too every morning, by the way, I'm going to just take a sip of my Tim Hortons coffee. If anybody knows anybody at Tim Hortons that wants to sponsor this show. One thing I do every morning, which takes not even 2 minutes, is I make my bed. Do you make your bed? I want to know. Direct message me on Instagram and let me know if you make your bed, Renee_Warren. So William H. McRaven, he is a retired Navy 4-star admiral and former chancellor of the University of Texas System. He wrote in a book about the key mental health benefits of this ritual called Make Your Bed. little things that can change your life and maybe the world. And this book was published back in 2017. He extols that the idea that making your bed in the morning sets you up for success. His theory is that just by making your bed, you've accomplished at least the one thing, one simple thing. And that simple act of tidying up your covers lets you begin your morning with a small success that, the theory goes, will encourage many more throughout the day. Also, because we have a walk-in closet and bathroom off of our bedroom, is when I begin my morning routine, just like cleaning the kitchen before going to bed, there's nothing like making the bed and then going to the bathroom, brushing your teeth or doing whatever, and then coming back into the bedroom and it's already tidy. It's like one less thing to worry about. I'm not saying like this is the thing that's going to change your life. Maybe it will. Because according to the McRaven, it might change the world. But for me, it's a simple thing. And how I keep it simple is I don't have a kabillion pillows. I don't have a fancy way of making my bed. It's a very simple technique. We have like 4 pillows and then like a little decorative pillow. And even if Dan and I happen to wake up at the same time, he does his side at the same time as me and it takes 30 seconds. And then we both feel accomplished. It's not very difficult. So once that's done, I usually remain in silence. So I like to just slowly wake up to the day. If it's the summertime, I'll open the window because I love hearing birds chirping. And I have my altar and all my like smudges and sages and my oracle card decks all set up in by a chair on one end of my bedroom. It's a fairly large bedroom. It has like a little living room area. So I'll sit down and I'll meditate for however long my brain can do. Sometimes 10 seconds, sometimes 2 minutes. I sit there and then I just call in spirit. I call in spirit and I ask spirit to guide me. And then I will choose the oracle deck or card deck that I feel is right for the day. And I will pull a card. And the card is around an intention that I need for the day, motivation, or maybe it's going to help me guide me through something that I'm challenged by that day. And that's my guiding force. So the other day, as an example, I pulled the card Lover. And it's really about showing deep, unconditional, appreciative love to the people in your life. And so throughout the whole day, I was extra lovey with my husband and my kids, and it changed the energy of the house. And it was so beautiful. And that is now something that I continue to do on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to link some of my oracle card decks that I use in the show notes because I just love them so much. And then what I do is I always take a big, deep breath and big stretches, get the blood going and all this stuff, usually before I read the deck. And it all goes into also setting the intentions for the day. How do I want to show up for the day? Okay. So when this is done, I'll go and have a warm glass of lemon water. Okay. Warm glass of the whole thing before I drink or eat or do anything else that goes into my body. Now, one of the activities I do not consistently, but was really part of my radical reinvention almost 2 years ago now, or was it a year ago? I can't even remember when I did Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, was doing a conscious stream of thought writing in the morning. I would write 1 or 2 or 3 pages every morning about whatever came to mind. I didn't worry about grammar or coherence, just my thoughts and how it would flow. This really helped to clear my mental clutter. And it actually it gave me some surprising insights and ideas on what I can do in my life, in my business, as parents. And, it always ended up with like a little to-do list at the bottom because I would actually reflect on things that I forgot that I said I was going to do or didn't do. And it was just a beautiful way of getting all these ideas and thoughts on paper, of which I don't go back and read. I used to, but now it's there. It's kind of there to be burned. Which, while you're at it, while you're doing this conscious stream of thought, is to tackle your micro goals for the day. So these are typically 3 goals that you make that are achievable. These are things you can accomplish in a day. So some people use the 5-minute journal for this. I do that sometimes, but oftentimes I'll just take the journal or the book that I write in throughout the day. And I'll write my top 3 things, right? The big frogs for the day. What are the things that I have to do today that if nothing else gets done, I will still be satisfied if these 3 things are done? And so I write it out and it's there. And that sometimes I'll share that with my assistant so that she knows my focus for the day. Okay. In the summertime, particularly, this is what I love to do is I will step outside and I'll say hello to the sun and Mother Earth. I actually do this before bedtime too, right? As I'm locking up the front door, I'll open the door and I'll say good night and thank you. Thank you for providing. Thank you for bringing us sunlight and people and food and cars and games and electronics. Thank you for providing the things we need to survive and have quite an easy life, right? But in the morning, I'll step outside and I'll say hello. Good morning. Sometimes I'll water my plants just to be grounded, barefoot if I can, just to have that for like a minute or two. Now, sometimes I'll read. I usually read in the nights, in the evenings, because it's kind of the way that calms me. But in the mornings, I'll often grab a book too, even if it's for 10 minutes. So Dan and I, we do a book study. It's what I call it. So every Thursday we meet. It's part of like our couples therapy stuff that we do that I really enjoy. And we're reading the book called If the Buddha Married or something like that. And so we meet every Thursday for 9 weeks and we discuss the same chapters and sections. And there's a list of questions that we have to answer. We highlight things that we think are great and things maybe we want to implement in our marriage or don't. And so reading is really important. I could not do this podcast had I not been reading almost 10 pages a day every day. And let me tell you, if I start a book and I'm reading it and I don't like it, I'll fast forward to the sections I think are worthy. And if I'm not getting anything from the book, I put it down. I used to be the person that would feel so guilty if I started a book and didn't finish it. My God, that's a waste of time. I also learned that you don't have to read the whole book from start to finish. You can go to the sections that matter to you today to get the thing you need to learn so that you can actually start living a more fulfilled life, right? This is because I don't read fiction books. Every book is nonfiction. So here's a new one that I'm adding, which I sometimes forget, but adding connection rituals. I used to do this every Friday when I had my agency, but essentially connecting with people, either making introductions amongst a couple people, or just reaching out to old friends I haven't connected with, maybe just jumping in on their socials, seeing what they're up to, leaving comments, checking in. It doesn't take much to find 1 or 2 people to reconnect with. And I think as part of like the previous episode I did about networking, it's really important that you're maintaining these relationships and you're cheering people on. So finally, the last thing, which should be the first thing I do, but the first thing I do when I kind of sign into work in the morning, every single day, I check my bank account. And here's why. Because when I used to notice this pattern in my life, that when things weren't going well in business, I refused to check my bank account, which is arguably the more important time to do it. And the more I refused to check it, the worse things got. And so I made it a habit to check it more. It's almost like I get bonus dollars added to my bank account the more I check it. And now I do. Now I make sure to pay off all credit cards as soon as I can, make sure that if there's any outstanding invoices, all that stuff. It's just simple, it's clear, it's ready to go, it's done, it's taken care of. It also allows you to see fraud instantly as it comes up, or even like when you should be canceling subscriptions. Every month we go through everything that we've subscribed to and we just start canceling. Yesterday, we did a mad purge of our Apple Store subscriptions because there were like $1 charges here and $12 charges there. And they kept adding up to like $500 a month. And so we snipped those. They're no longer part of our life. And when you see those things that you're subscribed to, you really have to ask yourself, do I actually use this subscription? Do I actually use this app? Do I use the service? Am I getting the most of it? If not, unsubscribe, let it go. Bring that revenue back into your life and your business. Okay, so those are the things I do in the evening and in the morning. Pretty consistent with this stuff. The other thing too that's helped with good night's sleep is not drinking alcohol. Well, I still, on the odd chance, will enjoy a glass of wine. I'm really being mindful of my sober curious journey. maybe some of these things resonate, maybe they don't. But hey, if there's stuff in here that you are doing or have tried and it has changed your life, has made you happier, healthier, more productive, let me know. Go to my Instagram, Renee_Warren. Share your story. Let me know what's working. Or maybe there's a suggestion you have for me. I'd love to know it. So I hope this has helped you out. I hope this will help you have an incredible morning routine and really good night's sleep. Until next time, ladies, peace out.